Okay. On that note, I think that we can move on and to deal with the Auditor General's report. And thankfully, we have...
I think we should also put a certain point across for clarity purposes. Woyemi escaped jail sentence, conviction and sentence, but he has not escaped the liability to refund that money.
Okay.
Without
the Attorney
Yes,
General has made that, the Deputy Attorney General has made that very clear and has assured that in the coming months we should expect that the money will be paid.
Even the jury is yet to be out on whether or not he will go to jail.
That's the point.
We are still
because
appealing, and that the Court of Appeal could vindicate us.
Interesting.
So I think people should just, hold their horses for the meantime.
Okay.
I agree.
Thank you very much. Now, the Auditor General's report, and because of that, we are also thankful to be joined by Mr. Sefa, who is Deputy Auditor General with responsibilities in Parliament as well. Now, I've been going through the documents. Abdul Malik has had the opportunity to go through it.
No, unfortunately not.
You have not. Asan Kuma has done, and you can see that he's got an annotated version of
serious.
it. And
scary.
You are here.
I should find better things to do. So reading a 600 and something page report.
Okay. Now, as I go through it, I only get sad, and I want you to speak to a few issues for me. I only get sad that you mention, you are very clear about some of the things that have gone wrong, but you don't seem to be straightforward and as it were, quick in asking people to refund where they are supposed to refund and so on and so forth. For example, you discover in a part of the report that at the Ministry of, let me just bring it up quickly, at the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection, you discover this. That is paragraph 382. You say, we noted that 3 former officials of the ministry took away their official vehicles. Occupy Ghana has sued Dr. Izito Tingeje. When they were leaving the ministry with the intention of buying them, even though we cited letters of approval for them to buy the vehicles, there was no evidence that they had paid for them. The officers involved were the former minister, Honorable Mrs. Juliana Azuma Mensah, Honorable Hawa Woboya Gariba, former deputy minister, and Mr. G.K. Kumo, former acting chief director. Among other things, we requested management to provide us with evidence that the vehicles had been paid for by the former officials or retrieve them for use by the ministry. If they have taken the vehicles away, for how many years or for how long before you did your audit and discovered that there was clearly no intention to pay, why are you asking for a retrieval of the vehicles? Some say that's not good enough.
Yeah. Thank you. I must say, that I don't think I've been very fairly treated coming to sit on this interview panel. Yesterday, I spoke with, in fact, I don't know his name.
The producer, one of the producers.
One of the producers, and he told me that the letter that was sent, in fact, I have the letter here. The letter said that invitation for Newsfile, and it said the Newsfile team will be grateful to have the Auditor General for a special session on the show this Saturday, 14th March, to fully discuss and analyze the findings and recommendations made in the 2013 Auditor General's report. So I called and was finding out which report are you talking about, because we've sent about 8 Auditor General's reports to Parliament for 2013. And
okay,
then,
so you didn't know that it is this one we are talking about?
Precisely so.
You sent this to Parliament?
All of them.
This covers all the ministries, departments, and agencies.
Yes, this is MMDA.
Okay, so what exactly is your problem?
Other, if you say Auditor General's report.
It's too wide.
Reports. Which one? So I asked them, and they told me that it was about the way forward. How do we go forward to halt this spate of, wanton disregard for rules and regulations and that kind of thing.
I want to understand
I'm not saying
how
that
you have been treated unfairly.
Yes.
That you don't know that it is the 2013 report.
The letter itself is speaking for itself. It says recommendations made in the 2013 Auditor General's report.
Correct.
Report. And we have sent 8 reports to Parliament. So my question was that I wanted a clarification. Which particular report are you talking about? He said, no, we are not going to discuss a report. But the essence was that we're going to look at the way forward. Because
you sincerely believe that it is possible to discuss your recommendations without looking at what it is that you found before the recommendations?
I don't have a problem speaking to issues in the report.
Okay, so
but I think
if you may,
letters should be clear. It should be
okay.
Thank you. Clearly stated and then
Thank you. I think
on
next
the
time,
same page.
Next time we'll take notes of that.
So that we all come very well
okay.
prepared. And
thank you very much.
Yes.
Sir. So I'm talking about page
precisely.
135 of your report.
Yeah, maybe.
And paragraph 382.
Yeah,
I'm asking what's going on. Yeah.
What I can say regarding this, you see, maybe I'll tell you about the process that we go through to get to the stage of the Auditor General's report to Parliament. We raise audit observations when we go to the client location, and then we give them to the management to serve on whoever can best respond to the observations. Now, responses are provided, and then we come up with a draft management letter, which we send to the auditee, and then they have 30 days, according to the Audit Service Act, to respond to the issues in the draft management letter. So, at the end of the day, we make extracts from we embody the responses into the report, and then so that we have a balanced report with the views of the auditees. Now, at the end of the day, the unresolved issues are what find space in the Auditor General's report that goes to Parliament. And even before we start compiling the notes to turn into the Auditor General's report to Parliament, we still even go back to the auditee for them to still see whether they have been able to resolve the issues or whatever. So at the end of the day, what comes here is what is not resolved. So we have management letters which are a bit more detailed, which are very specific to the issues. But you know, as I do, that if you are looking at about 21 ministries, departments and agencies, you cannot lift, a lot of the details in the management letters into the Auditor General's report. So some of the very finest details have been discussed with management, and so what may
so
find
I'm
here,
citing an example.
Yeah.
I'm just picking 1 or 2 situations as an example, and then we'll zoom in on what we think we are being told, particularly by Occupy Ghana, that you should be doing that you don't seem to do in your department. So we have a ritual of you reporting of all of these wrongdoings, and nothing is done about them. I'm saying that this report, this particular paragraph, which I'm lifting as an example, is saying that at that Ministry of Social Protection, Gender, it says that these 3 individuals, ministers, 2 ministers, former ministers, and chief director, took their vehicles with them home with the intention of paying for them, buying them. By the time you were doing your investigations, they had not paid for them. And you asked the ministry to ensure that that you were asking for them to either retrieve the vehicles that these ministers are taking away. And I'm saying that doesn't appear to be, a robust approach to stopping this kind of, acts.
Yeah, thank you. here we are looking at maybe implementation of the recommendations that the Auditor General makes. And the thinking, like Occupy Ghana is saying, is that the Auditor General is not pursuing people to issuing a certificate. But then, I must be honest with you that the management letter that we issue out we actually indicate who is culpable and what management should do by way of recoveries, by way of surcharges, by way of disallowance. So when we do this, it is up to management, because I think a lawyer, a Deputy Attorney General is here. The Auditor General cannot even arrest anybody, even when he is found to be to have misappropriated money, without recourse to management. So this is the work that we are doing, and then we always work through management to get certain actions, issues resolved. So the issue here is that when we write, it is our expectation that management is going to follow up and implement the recommendations, because there is a limit that we can go. And I believe that maybe you wanted evidence as to maybe how long they have used the vehicles that we are saying that they should return.
I'm aware when Julian Azuma left that ministry.
Exactly. So these finer details will be in the management letter, which was written. But when we are compiling for the Auditor General's report, you might not see.
Okay. So just hold on briefly for me. Kweku, do you understand what I'm seeking to get from here? I've seen that you have opened to that portion. So that these people left the ministry when? And at the time we are doing the audit, 2013, we are asking that we should retrieve the vehicles. Because they haven't paid for them.
The report is complete with it. If you look at page 39, paragraph 101, Nissan pickup, GV 1480U. If anybody knows where that car is, it's for government. It's the possession of Mr. Sapon, transferred and from the department.
I like that.
It was not made available for inspection. We advise that to avoid possible unauthorized disposal of the vehicle, management should retrieve the vehicle. The man has kept the vehicle for how many years? Is he paying us any money?
So I'm going to come to you. Just hold on. Hold your fire.
No,
Yes,
but I think
okay.
that's the solution is prescribing. He's showing the poverty of the recommendation. You know, it's a routine, a ritual we go through all the time.
An impotent ritual.
We don't execute anything. And I have to be honest, it's not peculiar to this particular audit report. That's why I'm a bit worried. I've been reading audit reports from the 60s and Public Accounts Committee reports. You'll be amazed.
You have promised to donate them to Occupy Ghana for the purposes.
Yes, I will do it. Structurally, institutionally, the human element, it's almost the same story. There must be something wrong somewhere. Okay? I'm at sea as to how. That's why I endorse the Occupy Ghana approach. I'll be honest with you, because it showed a certain proactive attitude that identify a target, go after the target, both the human being as well as the institution, use the law to force them to do what the law says they must do. Otherwise, it's the same ritual. These reports come, they've identified many problems, they've even cited personalities, and nothing happens. If you read the 1965 Public Accounts Committee report, look, it's like today. The only thing is that the figures are changing in terms of quantum. But it's the same story. So what is it that we aren't doing right? Here, these names are well-known names. You know, they've kept the car. I'm sure the cars may be in a certain state now that we don't even need them. So maybe we should surcharge them, take money from them, the value of the car then, and some interest added. Some action. Otherwise, this ailment will never be cured.
Okay.
I don't know, but
just
I'm
briefly, this has been the prescription by Occupy Ghana? Surcharges, the disallowances. Okay, now tell me, having read this, and I've seen the way you've dealt with it, having read it, what do you see and what do you think is the problem?
Occupy Ghana described this as a yearly ritual in impotence. We write a report and take it to Parliament, and that's the end of the story. Look, he's right. They are not the police force. They can't arrest. They can't go to court. Kweku's right. These things have been biting at us from time immemorial, before some of us were born. And so Occupy Ghana took the opportunity to go through this historically. Then we saw that come the 1992 Constitution, actually it's the 1993 Constitution. I think we should stop using any year, it's simply the Constitution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The people of Ghana now said, we are tired of this report. We're tired of it. Send that to Parliament if you may. But we are giving the Auditor General a specific power. It says that whenever in the course of your audit, Article 1877, we are looking from B, that whenever you come across any item of expenditure which is contrary to law, let's end there, contrary to law. So it breaches the Procurement Act, it breaches the Financial Administration Act, it didn't go through proper budgetary process, it breaches the Constitution, it is criminal, it is tortious. Whenever you come against any expenditure that is contrary to law, it gives to the ladies and gentlemen in the Auditor General's office a discretion to first disallow. Now, this is lawyers will call it ex post facto. They've spent the money already. Yeah. But Auditor General, you say, you know what, you have spent the money, but I disallow it because the expenditure was not in accordance with law. Yeah. Now, wait a minute. This resolves Ghana's problems. They might have spent money, but when the fine ladies and gentlemen from the Auditor General's department say that this expenditure is not in accordance with law, they talk about theft, loss, embezzlement of cash. It's not in accordance with law, obviously. Facilitating failure to observe contract procurement procedures and agreements leading to losses. It is not, it's an expenditure that's not in accordance with the law. Literally, everything contained in this document is an expenditure that is contrary to law. So they said that if you discover that, you first disallow, then you surcharge. So I'm really worried when the Auditor General in his report is asking others to do a surcharge. When the constitutional mandate says it is the Auditor General who does the surcharge. So you first do a disallowance, you may not do a surcharge. Then you may do a surcharge that, look, I don't only disallow it. Kwesi Mensah, pay the money back to Ghana. Efua Mensah, pay the money back to Ghana. This is a constitutional power given to you. And the Constitution doesn't end there. It says that any amount of the expenditure disallowed to the person responsible for incurring or authorizing the expenditure. That is one. That monies which have not been brought into account, which is that we have received the money, but people have written something that the money hasn't come in. You know, like invoicing and invoicing, all the things that this document tells us.
There's a lot of it. They talk
There's
about
a lot of it. Yeah. It says that upon the person by whom the sum ought to have been brought into account. 3, the amount of any loss or deficiency, so it may be financial and otherwise, on any person through whose negligence or misconduct the loss or deficiency has incurred. Okay. So the first responsibility for recovering our money is on the Auditor General. I am not saying that the Auditor General is the one supposed to go for the money. What the Constitution says is that you issue your disallowance and surcharge. Then your own act, the Audit Service Act says, send it to the head of department for that head of department to ensure that the person pays. Yes. So you know all that Occupy Ghana has been begging the Auditor General to do? Issue a bunch of paper. That's what we are begging them to do.
But
we are on. Dominic, you don't let me finish. Dominic, you never let me finish. Okay. Why? Are you uncomfortable with what I'm saying?
Don't worry. Yes.
May I finish?
Go on. Yes.
If they have done that, why aren't Ghanaians being told what they've done? Now, I don't want to get into the nitty-gritties of our matter with them. But if you drag me there, I will show to you in which ways the Auditor General has contradicted themselves so many times. I was trying to be very nice here. Let's Please don't
No,
drag me to
you
that.
can be nasty. It's,
No,
it's important.
No.
I mean,
you know me.
this is public discourse.
You know me.
Let's tell the truth
know
as
me.
it is.
You know me. I'm a very nice.
I know you are a very nice person.
But again,
Yes.
for the various portions of this report that I have gone through, I have not seen a disallowance or a surcharge.
I'm coming there.
Or it's not supposed.
No,
you are not supposed to suggest it here.
No. Wait. No.
That, for example, this one, because you talk about irregularities in certain expenditures. You talk about unaccountable interest. People have taken money and have not accounted for. What I mean is that in this report, am I not expected to see that this is the action the Auditor General has taken in regard to that particular spending?
May I continue?
Yes.
So what we are asking them to do is to issue a bunch of paper. And that's all. If they do that, we don't have a problem with them. When they do that, the responsibility shifts
To the Attorney General.
to him. He must ensure that the monies are paid within 60 days.
Yes.
And if the people fail to pay the money within 60 days or fail to go to court, Mr. Ayene's department is supposed to take them to court to recover the money by way of civil proceedings. And if you did, it is one of the only instances where the salary of a public servant can be attached in execution of a judgment debt. My point is that the law has resolved this issue. Now, as we hear from Auditor General, they are telling us that the management reports the issue.
Management letters.
Management letters. Wait. You're supposed to issue the first disallow and surcharge, and send it to the head of department. That for this person, that other person, surcharge. The head of department is supposed to do it within 60 days. If he doesn't, Mr. Ayene takes over and takes them to court. So we are saying that you, Auditor General, show us that you have done this. After that, we don't have a fight with you. We will go after Mr. Ayene's department. The Auditor General is not responding. That's our problem. Show us. We are citizens of Ghana. These management letters are not secrets. We have gone through your reports. Now, why do I say that? And you know something, you are right, that the report must show. Do you know why? Because if they indeed issue a valid surcharge, even they, the audit service, have no power to reverse it.
Okay.
The only authority with power to reverse a surcharge apart from the court is Parliament. It means that in your report to Parliament, you must give Parliament details of all discharges and the disallowances and surcharges that you have made, so that Parliament is informed about them. So Parliament can then sit down and exercise a review authority over your discharge, your disallowance and surcharge. So you cannot tell me that your report to Parliament does not include the management letters, whom you are telling us contains the discharge, the disallowance and surcharge.
Okay.
So the law has laid a step-by-step procedure. It starts with you. We have been tangoing with you for 5 months. Show us the information.
Just for him to add.
Yes. Show us the information. So we move and attack the Attorney General's office. To date, they've shown us. Mr. Ayene says they've been doing it. Mr. Ayene says they've been doing it. They've shown us one.
Okay.
Just a little one.
One.
I also want to know the status of the audit report implementation committees,
Right.
and what really are they doing?
The ARICs.
The ARICs.
Right.
I was going to explain. The ARICs are provided for in the audit service regulations. And they are supposed to be set up in all of these places to make sure that the recommendations are reported. But we are implemented. But we've made a point that the issue here is not or are not the recommendations. These are recommendations. You have shown us year in, year out that they disregard your recommendations. Look, in 2013, paragraph 34, the cataloging of financial irregularities in my report on MDAs and other agencies has become an annual ritual. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Auditor General telling us.
Right.
He has the power to disallow and surcharge. He says that his recommendations, his catalog, not disallowance, his catalog has become an annual ritual that seems to have no effect, impotent, because the affected MDAs are not seen to be taking any effective action to address the basic problems of lack of monitoring and supervision and not adherence to legislation to put in place to provide effective financial management of the public.
What do you say if someone says that this sounds like a purposeless lamentation when you have power to act?
Waste of paper.
Let me.
The paper used to publish this should be issuing disallowances and surcharges.
Maybe Dr. Ayene will come in, but
yes.
What I want to say is that if you look at the Audit Service Act, I think Ace was reading from the Constitution. I have the Audit Service Act.
Yeah,
And if
look at section 20.
if you look at section 17, subsection 1, I'm talking about the Audit Service Act.
Yes.
The Auditor General shall specify to the appropriate head of department or institution the amount due from any person upon whom he has made a surcharge or disallowance, and the reasons for the surcharge or disallowance.
Good.
And what I'm saying is that you take a management letter and we make recommendations. We actually indicate, like we are reading from this report, we are looking at people who have, taken government vehicles without maybe adequate duly paying for them. What can the Auditor General do? You can only get back to management that this is what has happened and this is what we expect you to do. So now the president recently wrote to the ministers as heads of ARICs, to ensure that recommendations in the Auditor General's reports are implemented. The Auditor General is lamenting, but the lamentation is that he is not the one who is
purposeless.
He is not the one who is going to take people to court to go and retrieve amounts that they have embezzled.
You are being told that you don't need to go to court. Take the first step.
We have taken the step.
So
in our management letter, we indicate and we show who is culpable, what should be done in every situation.
So why are the management letters?
The management letters are with the auditors.
So how come we've never received it now? We've been asking you for 5 months.
Okay. You want to
we are citizens of Ghana. The Constitution says we are entitled to ask you for this.
Yeah.
Okay,
and that's how we
he's
start.
answering.
So
let's listen to him.
I do have an answer. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
What I said was that we have, before you get this Auditor General's report, it has gone through a process. We have issued a management letter given to the auditee. They have responded. Where we disagree with them, we actually indicate that. But then what we're saying is that all what we need to do, all the recommendations that we need to make, we make them in the management letter. But at the end of the day, the issues that are not resolved, they find a space in the Auditor General's report to Parliament.
We are very familiar with the recommendations and all the management letters. But what I want to find out is, why are you not using your powers? That is, if you are not, your powers to disallow and surcharge.
We are disallowing.
Okay, you are their lawyers.
Right.
So.
The ACE is right about the constitutional obligation squarely placed on the Auditor General, right? That the Auditor General can disallow an expenditure that is not in accordance with law. So any illegal expenditure or an expenditure in excess of appropriation, for instance, can be disallowed. Okay. Now, surcharging the person who has engaged in that illegal expenditure is also the constitutional obligation of the Auditor General.
Yes, not you at all. Yes,
okay.
yes.
And so if he then says that, okay, we have disallowed this expenditure, but in the circumstances in which the expenditure was made, we want to surcharge Sankuma who authorized the illegal expenditure. So Sankuma's head of department, for instance, the chief director of that ministry, will then take the letter from the management letter from the Auditor General and write to Sankuma that you did engage in an illegal expenditure, which has been disallowed by the Auditor General. The Auditor General has decided that you should be surcharged with this amount, cause why you should not be, a surcharge with this amount, why you should not be made to, pay this amount. Now, I'll give you a typical example in our ministry. I chair the ARIC of the Ministry of Justice. And we got a number of management letters, from the Auditor General as a result of the 2013, audit of MMDAs. One of the things that cropped up was that there was a lady who had taken an unearned salary for 4 months or so. I think so, 4 months on earned salary. And we were asked, to retrieve that money from her. So as chairman of audit, ARIC, I ordered that she should be written to. So the chief director wrote to her to refund the 4-month salary. Then she came back with an explanation, which explanation was completely at variance with what the auditors came to find. So we wrote back to Auditor General and we said this was, the lady's explanation, there's documentary evidence supporting that, she was supposed to be on leave and so on and so forth, okay? This is how it works, ordinarily. In other words, it is we, the management of the Ministry of Justice, okay, who will pursue the enforcement of the disallowed, amount or the surcharge for our employees who have, engaged in that kind of
There's a
expenditure.
huge problem here.
Yeah, what is the problem?
The Audit Service Act says you have no power to do that.
No,
May I
Section
finish?
17 actually gives us the power to do that.
No, you are supposed to enforce. If the lady brings an answer,
Yes.
actually, it is only Parliament who can revoke it. Oh, why?
Where is it said that it's only Parliament?
May I read that to you? May I read that to you?
In terms of
No.
administrative
Oh,
processes,
take-
normally
okay,
it's
take
right
it
back
easy.
to
He wants to read a lot,
Okay,
so
okay.
let him
Take
read
it-
and let's
take it
see.
easy. Okay,
You're
okay.
still here
Take
on
it easy.
Newsfile. This is your most authoritative news analysis show, and it's brought to you by Bank of Africa, strong as a group and close as a partner. MTN, welcome to the new world. Sasso spray, so fresh and powerful. Now, right after Newsfile, we have Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, who was here a while ago. There's going to be a personality profile on the next show, and he is the one who is featured. This show is going to end at 12:20, so we have sufficient time to deal with the Auditor General's report and move on. So at 12:20, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete will be next on your show.
I was coming to the point. Now listen, this is a situation where the person was disaggrieved by
Yes.
the disallowance or surcharge.
Right.
Section 17.3, you read 1. Let's look at 3. A person aggrieved by a disallowance or surcharge made by the Auditor General may appeal to the High Court not later than 60 days, not later than the expiration of the 60 days prescribed in subsection 2. So my point is that your act says that in this particular case,
Yes.
when the lady indeed came with that document showing that she was aggrieved by the disallowance, Section 17.3 says she must appeal to the High Court. And I'm saying that, and the reason why you should be reporting this is in your report is this. Look at 17.7. The Auditor General may, with the approval of Parliament, revoke, prior approval of Parliament, revoke any surcharge made under this section. So when you claim you surcharge her, and she brought two things. She either goes to the High Court, or you go to Parliament for their prior approval to revoke the surcharge. Now I'm coming.
Administratively,
he has no power to revoke his surcharge. So what you are doing is a brutum fulmen. The law, no, this is the law. People of Ghana, it's in black and white. It says that when you do the surcharge, you need parliamentary approval to revoke it, which means that you don't do surcharge by heart. It must be carefully done and properly done and filed. Now we are reading your law and you are shaking your head. We are lost as a country.
On which basis do you disagree with him? Because
The
I see
law
you
says
shake your head.
you shake your head at your
as
law.
he reads the law.
And the Deputy Attorney General says no, there's administrative practice which is superior to the law.
We have an
Is that what I
we,
said?
we
We
have
are lost.
Okay, let's
Yes,
say
is that what I said?
we have a process. You issue a management letter, and I told you about, sending the management letter, the draft for responses. The fact that we have
the management letter asks you to explain the issues you find, the irregularities, the breaches of the laws that you find.
Then
That's
it can't be a
what you
surcharge.
do. Is that not the case?
The
No,
management
it
letter-
normally also states,
Yes, but
where it has, the Auditor General has
discovered the
disallowed
law.
an expenditure.
Then you get
and
responses.
intends that, yes.
So the management letter cannot be the disallowance or surcharge. That is when you have done your work, you have taken responses. It's audit, council, audit. They hear everybody.
Yes.
So the audit is not complete until the management letter has been responded to.
Yes.
So at the completion of your report, you cannot rely on a previous management letter that you issued asking for responses to say that constitutes your surcharge. Your surcharge or disallowance is after you have done your audit, your auditing report, and you have received responses and known that this person has not been able to respond to it.
Have you had
So the
situations?
management letter is not your surcharge. It is not your disallowance.
Gentlemen, have you had situations
this is
where
the law.
Sorry,
the law.
Okay, thank you.
Substantively,
Have you had
I don't-
situations?
it's not the same.
Have you had situations where the Auditor General having completed its work in this direction, you now have to take over and ensure that it is enforced?
I haven't experienced that, in the.
Does that not suggest to you that they are not doing it?
End of story.
No, I don't think so.
Let me.
I don't think so. I think what is happening mostly is that, I mean, Ace may disagree, but these things are resolved through the administrative process of, people getting back to the management getting back, to the Auditor General and, providing explanations of why either the sales charge is justified or unjustified. I think this is how the system has been resolving this all this while.
The surcharge is issued when you are dissatisfied. So you have asked the person, the person has not been able to give you the answer, you are dissatisfied. At that point, you disallow and surcharge. The disallowance and surcharge cannot precede hearing the person. So what we are talking about is clearly ex post. It's clearly after you have issued the management report, when you have arrived at your conclusion. At that point, literally, the person has no answer. That is why the court says that if you've gone through all this process and issued the management, the law says you've gone through the process, you've issued the management letter, the person has explained you are not satisfied. Once you issue that all-powerful discharge, disallowance and surcharge, they cannot even fight you. They must go and fight in court or go to parliament.
This is my next question around this. If we are actually doing as we are required by law to do, why would there then be the need for the Auditor General to write this at paragraph 34, page 15? He says, the cataloguing of financial irregularities in my report on MDAs and other agencies has become an annual ritual that seems to have no effect because affected MDAs are not seen to be taking any effective action to address the basic problems of lack of monitoring and supervision and non-adherence to legislation put in place to provide effective financial management of public resources. Whatever efforts have been made by MDAs in the past has not been effective enough to deal with the issues of non-compliance and outright disregard for established order in the conduct of public financial business. If you have been doing it, you will not be complaining.
Yeah, I think the issue is that the Auditor General has done his work. He has come up with all the recommendations that he needs to make. He has said expenditure that should be disallowed, and then who should be surcharged. Now, even if you talk about corporate governance, you have a board always have an audit committee, and it is that committee that sees to the implementation of recommendations in the Auditor General, in the audited report, in the audit report. But here, because we are with the auditor, that is actually the Auditor General's report. So what we're saying is that these recommendations have been made. We have had Parliament just tabled the 2010-2011 Auditor General's report on the pre-university education institutions. And you take the Hansard and you can look at the recoveries that have been made because people were called to appear before Parliament. And so the chairman's lamentation was that it means that if people are not being called to Parliament, they don't give a hoot about what the Auditor General is writing. Because we have the ARICs, and these are also supposed to be set up in every ministry, department, and agency.
Before you get to Parliament, if you disallow use surcharge and it is not enforced, it is not obeyed, okay, or is not executed, the Attorney General comes in to ensure the enforcement. Is that not the case? So that would have given you a lot more, power.
He has teeth to bite. They are looking at the event.
No, that is not when the Auditor General comes, the Attorney General comes.
But the law says it. No, the Constitution says it. Ladies and gentlemen.
You were talking, I didn't.
Well, don't worry, we are all interjecting. The law says this. The Constitution says this.
Can you say that? Can you give him the opportunity
to make his point?
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Go ahead. Make your point.
I apologize.
Make your point. Go ahead.
I was talking about
the point at which the Attorney General comes in.
Yes, you know, there are cases, some of the cases are not, strictly speaking, criminal in nature. But even where they are criminal, it is not the Auditor General who is going to put that person before court.
That has been said.
It is the management who are now going to hold the person who has been cited in the report. So if the management think that this is criminal, bordering on criminality, and the Attorney General has to come in, then it is referred to the Attorney General. So it's not the Auditor General who is going to refer cases to the Attorney General. We don't refer cases to the Attorney General. We can do that, but then it's management responsibility to implement.
Just hold on there. Let me go to my finest street pocket lawyer. Now, listening to the interaction between Ace, Mr. Sefa, as well as Dr. Ayine, I find that there appears to be a very simple and easy way that the Auditor General can do all of us proud by getting our monies back to us where they have been, wrongly expended. I don't know what impressions you are getting, and the Auditor General seems to suggest, the Deputy Auditor General seems to suggest that that's not the way to go.
But Ace read the law. And Occupy Ghana is showing an initiative in terms of operationalizing the law. I think that's one way of letting everybody get up from their slumber, institutions as well as management personnel. So what we should be doing is to do what the Occupy Ghana are advocating. It will help to everybody, but I think the Auditor General could do much more than it is doing now. There's something I've been reading, the Act, and I just wanted a certain clarification. The Audit Report Implementation Committees, do they exist? Are they functioning? Are they discharging the obligations that they've been entrusted
with? The various entities are supposed to have them. It's not for the Auditor General to go and insist that they ought to be there, or?
No, I'm not saying for a moment that the Auditor General is the one who must ensure that they have them. But we have an internal Audit Act, Agency Act, which demands that they must be operational.
Right.
And if you look at the Audit Service Act, there are certain things they've been asked to do. I can't read all, but the functions, it says, let's take B, annually prepares a statement showing the status of implementation of recommendation made in all audit reports, as well as the Auditor General's report, which have been accepted by Parliament and any other related directives of Parliament. Jump to 4. It says the statement to be referred to, no, let's read 3. The statement shall show remedial action taken or proposed to be taken to avoid or minimize the recurrence of undesirable features in the accounts and operations of the institution, body, or organization, and the time frame for action to be completed. 4. The statement referred to in subsection 3 shall be endorsed by the relevant minister and forwarded to Parliament, Office of the President, and the Auditor General within 6 months after parliamentary discussions on the Auditor General's report. In the performance of his functions under this Act, an audit report implementation committee may to any other senior member. These functions, are they really being undertaken? Do we have evidence?
This is the function of the audit implementation.
Yeah, audit report
implementation committees, not you, the Auditor General.
But they are even supposed to be giving a copy somewhere, the statement.
Yeah. Are they
have
working?
them?
Yeah, I wouldn't say they are working.
Wow.
To a very large extent, they are virtually dysfunctional.
Ours is working. I'm the chair of my and our audit is working.
Let's
put on record that the Ministry of Health has, on annual basis submitted this report to the Auditor General, to Parliament, and then to the President, the Ministry of Health.
That's one ministry.
That is one ministry. It is not that fine. It's not that effective with some of the other ministries. Minister of Justice is also doing its bit.
Yes. Very measured.
Very measured. No. It's looking at what.
Yes, it's a small place, and
yes, that is what they're supposed to do. So what we're trying to say is that there was. I remember about 3 years ago, we even reported on the operationalization of these ARICs, and then we actually cited the institution that had them, and they were working. You know, they appear before PAC, and you ask them, so we have an ARIC. When was the last time you met? Where is the minutes to the meeting that you had? And they can't even produce anything. And in any case, the work of the ARIC should not remain at that level. They're supposed to, you know, the sector minister is supposed to report subsequently to the President, Parliament, and then to the Auditor General. And this is what we don't find happening.
Okay.
No
it says it's virtually non-existent. Non-existent.
You see, the unfortunate thing is that you don't have, this is the Audit Service Act, and there are no sanctioning regimes here that if an ARIC is not working, what should
not
be
formed.
Yes. Or not formed.
There are no sanctions?
Yeah. Yes. It's here. The Audit Service Act is here. And so it's not only that. So what the president recently, but we don't have a problem with Occupy Ghana.
Tell us those who are not working. We'll haul all of them to court.
I mean, yeah, you know, the worst you can do is to go to court.
Yes, and the court will give mandatory orders, which if they fail to comply, they'll be in contempt.
That is dependent on your interpretation.
Don't worry, we will go. We will go and
your
now we are here to help you.
Sorry,
suddenly you are opposing us. You want the committee to work.
Sorry, I want to understand something exactly.
How you can have the sanctions, and you say that's
you are not happy. You say these are virtually non-existent, and that they are not helping you. You need them, and he's providing a way for you to get them to be effective. That one too, you are not excited.
You're not excited about it.
No, I'm not excited about that. They occupy. And what I'm saying is that if you are taking the Auditor General to court.
No, he didn't say that. We have been speaking about the audit implementation, report implementation committee.
They haven't said they are taking ARICs to
court. Now this is what he's saying. He just told you about this one, because that's what we're speaking about.
I'll add a more substantive thing to the issue. Look, I think that we are all getting a bit hamstrung about recommendations, and recommendations are recommendations. I'm saying that there's teeth before recommendation, and that your law is clear, the Constitution is clear, that you have teeth, not through management letters, because the management letter seeks responses. And so as he has explained, when the responses come as a result of the management letters, then they arrive at this document. That is on unresolved issues, which means that on those issues, you are convinced that you are right. At that point, you have ascertained that the expenditures were contrary to law.
Right.
That is when Article 18772 kicks in. And so at that point, issue them, not through the management letters. Issue them and leave it for Mr. Ayine, Dr. Ayine. That's all we're asking for. So if you bring us a bunch of management letters which is asking for people to give clarification, that is not what the law is asking for at that point.
Okay.
This is the
all right, gentlemen. Sorry. Let's do this way.
The difference
quickly, and then I take a quick break.
I was just going to wind up that the traditional audit. May I just finish?
Sorry.
The traditional audit role of auditors is to do these things and issue reports.
Yeah.
The job of the Auditor General in Ghana is that of an Auditor General, not just an auditor.
Okay, thank
you.
He
says that go beyond and issue it.
Let me hear you briefly. I'm taking a quick break, and then we'll return to exhaust the last few minutes we have.
Between what Ace is saying and then the Deputy Auditor General is that, you see, the management letters not only say, you know, what is wrong, okay, but they also go on to say that the Auditor General has disallowed an expenditure and also wishes to surcharge the person who engaged in that illegal expenditure. So that is where I see the substantive difference, in the sense that the management letter also doubles. You can
when is it issued?
A disallowance and surcharge.
Is it issued at the audit stage or at the end stage?
That's a very interesting part of it.
Yeah.
I'm taking a break at this point. We'll return, and the very few minutes that we have, we can see how we'll wrap up nicely. We'll be right back. This is Newsfile. Welcome back. This is Newsfile, your most authoritative news analysis show, brought to you by Bank of Africa, strong as a group and close as a partner. MTN, welcome to the new world. Sasso Spray, so fresh and so very powerful. We're dealing with the Auditor General's report at this point. Let me go take a few messages. George in London says, Samson, you have made my day today. I think this is the way the show should be. State officials should be brought and made to answer to the Ghanaians as has been done today. Right, thank you very much. And in fact, there have been many messages saying they really enjoyed the manner in which you are responding to some of the questions that they have for you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
He's an alumnus of the
Okay, right. Now, there's a portion I think ought to be resolved. Is it the case that you disagree where ACE and Occupy Ghana say should be the starting point for these allowances and surcharges, which after the 60 days, your department is supposed to take those people on? Is it that you disagree on the mechanism of that, or
no,
what?
not necessarily. I think that will be, you know, an enhancement. You know,
another opportunity to hug you.
Oh, you know, I'm just being objective.
Okay.
Okay, we could do things better. Where I disagree with Occupy Ghana on this matter is the fact that they have said categorically that it has not been done. Right? It has been done.
Show them.
No, we have shown them. We've given them. I actually did advise the Auditor General, to give you a series of the management letters where it was stated quite clearly that there has been a disallowance, and then there has been, a proposal for.
When was this?
Oh, I advised. I think it's about a month or two.
Yes.
Yeah,
and you sent it to us.
We didn't know the details.
Right.
We received a confidential letter which showed that your department and them had some meetings, and they gave us minutes of that meeting, and they showed us one disallowance that went to court and failed.
No.
Okay.
It was only the issue that went to court. That is what.
So something. My answer is that we could do things better. We could improve the process by, at the end of the day, issuing those surcharge and disallowances, and then also
what it does suggest to me that you may need a very special department in the Attorney General.
We were coming
and this department appears will be able to rake in a lot of money for this country.
Right.
Because when you read this report, a lot is going down.
We already have in the Attorney General's department the financial services division. It's a unit, actually. It's a small unit that basically services the Ministry of Finance, the audit service and so on.
And you need a lot of money for your attorneys too.
Of course, we could beef up that unit and then make sure that the proposals that they are bringing, in terms of enforcement of the constitutional provision and the statutory provisions of the Audit Service Act, are implemented.
And then maybe you provide some incentives for the attorneys who will be on the back of these people to retrieve some of the money.
That will be...
Audit Service Regulations provides financial incentives for people who report to the Auditor General that, quote unquote, people are chopping our money. It's not Service Regulations. That fund has never been set up.
Interesting.
Yeah, you see, before the Auditor General, we have the Internal Audit Agency. Then we have internal audit units, don't we?
They come on.
Yes.
Yeah, but they are subject to the Auditor General. No, wait. The internal audit units for MDAs and MMDAs.
What are you reading?
Act 658.
Okay.
It said there shall be established in each MDA and MMD an internal audit unit, which shall constitute part of the MDA and MMDA. It goes on and on, but these are the important areas. It says the internal audit unit of an MDA shall submit a copy of its internal audit report to its management body and such other persons as is required to submit the report. 5A, the autonomous bodies of the Constitution shall be subject to the standards and procedures of the agency and shall have internal audit units. The internal audit units of the autonomous bodies shall not be subject to the agency, but shall be subject to the Auditor General. That's what it says. A copy of the internal audit report of an autonomous body shall be submitted to the Auditor General. Now, if you read here, my point is that they are subject to the Auditor General.
If
at that level,
to the extent that they submit copies of their reports to the Auditor General, but no more.
Yeah, but you see, and if you go to action, no, wait, but that the law says subject to. I'm not the one saying it. And then action by the agency. I'm asking what role, what has been the value of the internal audit agency and the internal audit units? Because if you come to 17 of the say Act, it says the agency may, upon examination of an internal audit report, take such action as it considers appropriate, including recommendation of prosecution and disciplinary action in respect of any breaches found.
Thank you very much, Abdul Malik Kwekubako Jr. Thank you very much. You are unable to continue from this point. My guests have been Abdul Malik Kwekubako Jr., Editor-in-Chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper, the Honorable Deputy Attorney General, and also MP for Bolga East, Dr. Dominic Ayine, also the Deputy Auditor General is Yao Ejay Sefa. Earlier, you had Dr. Emmanuel Akwete of IDEC, and you'll be hearing a lot more about him on PM Express, which comes up next. And then Ace Anan Ankuma, Chief Occupier and a private legal practitioner. My name is Samson Ladi Anyeri. My outfit, as always, is supplied by Latida. Have a good afternoon.